G. There she
Hey!
is! We did it!
We did it. I was so nervous. I've been having so many like connection issues and like trying to like connect with fans on IG Live, and then sometimes it doesn't let me, and then I'm trying to find requests, and it's like, oh my god, it's too much.
I know. Overnight, we've all had to become like social media mavens. I love it.
For real.
How are you, Becky?
I'm good. How are you?
Surviving. Trying to now thrive. Like went from survival mode to now trying to thrive mode. So
Yeah, I feel that. I relate so much. It's been, I think, such an interesting transition here for all of us. Like everybody in my family does so many different things. My siblings are still in school. I have one brother who goes to LMU. I have another brother who's in community college. I have my sister who's still in high school. And then the pivot for my business and how that industry has obviously also hit a wall. Sebastian, it's like he's a soccer player. It's a team sport. The team can't practice together. So we're all just kind of trying to get a grip of our own selves as individuals to then figure out how we're going to start coming together again.
yeah, it's definitely a balance trying to figure out the new normal and what that feels like and having to adjust to it.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like this resistance to it where you're like, oh, I don't want this to be the new normal. I just want to get back to my life.
Yeah, and I think it's hard for people to accept that it may not ever be the same after this.
Yeah.
And that's really scary to like wrap your head around. I think that even for me has been one of the many reoccurring thoughts that I've been like trying to just shake off every now and then, because it's just the little cloud is just always right there, and the little cloud carries a lot of different things for me. And yeah, now it's definitely taken on, I guess, in other forms, right? Of just like, what now? What next? It's a lot.
Well, I want to say thank you for being a guest on Wordaful. We've done Wordaful before, but now we're doing it online.
We're taking it to a new platform.
Absolutely. I think this is the wave of the future. But I just really, from the bottom of my heart, Becky, because I know you're busy and I know you've got all these other things that you're juggling. Just sometimes being still is hard, you know? So just thank you for this opportunity to connect with you, to connect with the community. And I want people to understand what Wordaful Live Online is, especially with you as a guest. So I've just kind of run down some things that I want to, for people to understand what we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that although we are alone in our homes, we're alone together. And this is a time we can't go outside, so we have to go inside. And how do we start to heal? So when we go through all of these steps together and hear your insight, hear my insight, I want people to realize that this is kind of like a masterclass boot camp, all mixed in one. For 1 hour, we're just going to go hard and give the community teachable takeaways on how they can empower themselves, how they can inspire themselves. And that will be followed up with a recap email. So it's not just us talking. I would encourage people to bring their notebooks and their pens. But, you know, sometimes when we're trying to listen and take notes, it doesn't, you know, work hand in hand.
It's hard to be present, yeah.
Yeah. So I want people to know that this is really something for them. This is really, you know, we have all these books that are given to us, and sometimes it's difficult to just sit down during a pandemic and flip through 300 pages. So it's taking everything you've learned along the way, everything I've learned along the way, collaborating that information and giving it to the people so that they can hopefully support themselves during this time and in the future.
100%. No, and well, thank you as well for giving someone like myself the opportunity to share my story. You know, I think for a long time, you know, people in my position as artists or influencers or people in entertainment, people forget that you're a human being and that we also go through, you know, our own battles, our own obstacles, and sometimes we also doubt ourselves, or we go through things that are out of our control that affect us. And so for me, it's super exciting, one, to just get to chat with a homegirl, but also know that it's going to be an opportunity for connection for a lot of people that don't have connection with the outside world right now. I think in times of self-distancing, which we're all trying to practice right now, we have to be careful of how far we take that, as far as not isolating ourselves.
100%.
Because I know for me, I've sometimes been my own worst enemy, and isolating myself from the rest of the world. And I know it's really hard to believe, as an artist who performs in front of thousands of people, and I'm constantly in, you know, meetings and connecting with people, but it can still get very lonely. And that's sometimes like the scariest type of loneliness, because you have all these great things in your life, and now more than ever, people really have to deal with themselves. This is what I've been saying. We have to deal with ourselves, and some people don't have the knowledge of the tools that can be so simple but so effective in times like these. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, because there's so much I'm so ready to get into.
You just gave me goosebumps, because so much of what because truly I can relate to so much of what you're saying. You go from this high of meeting so many people, of connecting with so many people, of hearing them say how you've changed their lives, how they love your music. And then you suddenly go into a space and it's quiet, and it's just you. And I think everyone can relate to that right now. We're used to the highs of our social circles. We're used to the highs of our families. And people, I think, are really getting the dose of being able to relate to you in a way that they haven't before, because like they say, the top is lonely. Well, so is isolation. And that's really what being at the top is. It's having to isolate yourself to some degree.
Definitely.
So I want to talk about how you connect with yourself daily, how you practice gratitude daily, how you stay motivated. I don't know about you, but staying motivated to keep my body moving has probably been the hardest thing for me. And I love to work out. I love to stay physically active. But I really want to hear, not now, but your teachable takeaways for, especially because you have an athlete in the house who has to stay active.
So exactly. And sometimes I even tried to, you know, not let that become too much of like a pressure, because for one, it can be second nature. He's worked such a long period of time on this to create this as a habit now. For me, it's still not a habit yet. It's not a healthy habit to get active yet for me, although I go through waves. I think the way of practicing motivation for me has been the doing it part. Even when I'm not motivated, sometimes the motivation comes after the action. And that's really hard to like understand sometimes, because it doesn't really sound like it makes sense.
No,
but
it does.
It's true.
It's having to put your workout clothes on and just sit in there.
Yeah, because like you think about, you know, there's like, I mean, incredible authors that are so talented, but it takes them years and years and years and years to finish a book. And then you have other writers who make it a habit to write 3 pages a day, no matter what. And even if they scratch those pages, they make it a habit to write those 3 pages a day. And the motivation comes sometimes after the fact. And so Sebastian has this joke. He's like, "You're one of my favorite writers that never writes." And I'm just like, oh, but when I do sit down and I do get past the hump of like, oh, but I don't know what to say and I don't know what to write. And I'm not just talking like lyrics. I'm talking like, I love journaling. I love writing down my thoughts. I've been working on a couple speeches and stuff. And I was like so intimidated, and it was surfacing all kinds of emotions and things. And I was just like, I don't even know. But then I started going. And once I was done with it, I was like, man, I want to write 12 speeches now. Let's go. Let's get it done, you know? So for me, it's just practicing the doing it part. It's not like, oh, I have to be motivated every single day. It's like I have my days. I think now more than ever, not that I've ever been one to preach to lower your standards, because I don't ever want anybody to lower their standards in life. But I do think we have to be a little bit more kind with ourselves and hold ourselves to realistic standards, because we are in such uncharted territory right now. And it's hard to believe this, but a lot of people are dealing with grief.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just grieving your normal life. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have lost someone. You're just grieving. The weight of the world right now is so heavy. And so I'm really excited to actually dive into this a lot more tomorrow, because it's been something for me that I've been struggling with. I had a panic attack for the first time in so long 2 nights ago. And it was like, I was like, oh yeah, now I remember. I was like, oh God.
Yeah. No, and
Yeah.
that's something so powerful. I mean, I think that in the very beginning is what we all didn't understand what that feeling was. And that feeling was grief, because we were dealing with a huge loss, the loss of our connections, the loss of our normal lives, the loss of our workout routines, whatever. We have to grieve all they're little grievances, and we don't realize that. And then we don't know what it is that we're feeling. And that starts to build in on our anxiety.
Exactly.
I can't wait to talk to you about that.
I know.
And then I also want to tap into the big one tomorrow, is navigating social media, of what you give your attention to, the things that you've been avoiding. Don't tell me it all right now, but
I know.
I think it's so important, especially for your audience who's very engaged in social media. And, you know, a lot of times we don't realize how messages are affecting us, how what other people are posting are affecting us. A friend of mine had posted that quarantine was like watching American Idol of talents. It was like all of a sudden everyone became a chef, and everyone became, you know, all these different, you start to see all these different like untapped talents showing up. But it also caused a lot of people to feel pressure or overwhelmed to stay productive. And again, like you said, this is uncharted territory, and there is no right or wrong answer right now. No one is the expert quarantine queen, you know?
No, not at all. No, definitely. Well, I think it comes down to acknowledging that, you know, the power of social media, it is a blessing in many ways, but it's also a curse. And it is up to that individual how they're going to utilize it, and also how they're going to let it affect them. And so for me, I have two sides of things. It's like focusing on my message and what it is that I want to put out there, but also limiting, you know, whether it's regulating my time on how much time I'm on it, because I'm consuming, I mean, the amount of status updates, the amount of information. And then nowadays we don't know what's real and we don't know what's not. And so then that starts to make you question things. And then, yeah, maybe these are important questions that I should be asking myself. But then also now I'm going down the black hole and I'm watching all these crazy conspiracy theories on YouTube, and I'm head in. I'm gone, you know, and that's kind of what led to my panic attack the other day, actually. And so for me, it is still something that I'm trying to figure out for myself, and I have started to notice what works for me, what doesn't work for me, because it's really hard, especially when it's our only form of connection now. Right. It's our only form of connection. We're witnessing crazy things through social media. If coronavirus, right, the COVID-19, which is a type of coronavirus that we've never seen in human beings before, took the world by storm, and we thought it hadn't hit America yet, we were still witnessing firsthand through social media the effects that this was having, you know. But then we are great America, nothing can bring us down, and then here it was literally knocking at our doors, and we can't come out, and it's here. And so for me, it's been such a crazy like whirlwind, like it's just happened so quickly. And I think it's been very interesting to see how all of the information has been being given to the people regarding this, and then also, you know, their jobs, how it's affecting schools, and all of the other, you know, there's the people above the line, which is a small percentage, that are not being affected by this. And then there are a lot of people below the line that, like I said, their lives are never going to be the same again after this. And that for me has been one of the biggest things I've just been seeing every single day. You know, I'm very blessed. I have a roof over my head. All of my family, fortunately, is very healthy right now. But I still find myself constantly worried, constantly trying to educate myself through social media. How can I connect? Because that's the only way I can really connect with my fans, my audience, and see what it is that their needs are, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, I think it is super important that you do understand that you're acknowledging that you're understanding, like, okay, like you said, I had this panic attack because I went down the rabbit hole, and we ruminate on certain thoughts. It's like we take that headline and then all of a sudden we don't realize how much it's saturated, and we mix it into our past experiences, our future fears, and all of a sudden we formulated this energy in our body that starts to take over.
Right.
And part two to that, I also think it's amazing that you're also aware of how you can be still connected with your audience, because there is that relatability that they are looking to you for a lot of the answers as well, because you're a source of inspiration. They relate to you through your music. They relate to you because of who you are, because you're such a family person. And that's how I want to close out tomorrow. I want to know, Becky, how you are still holding on to your goals and your dreams and the things you want to do, what you're looking forward to, because so much is, you know, in the present moment of how we're coping. But I think we can't lose hope around the idea of what's
100%. Definitely.
Yeah. I'm excited for tomorrow.
I know, it's going to be so good. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to it for so many reasons. One, because it's going to be nice to just, you know, continue talking to people outside of my own house, because that part, yeah, I'm sure everybody can relate to that. But like I said, it's just so good, I think, to find connection. I think now more than ever, we really have to have empathy. Yeah. Like, I think empathy for me has been such a big driver in this time, and, you know, having enough of it to want to make a difference and doing things to help others, but not to the point where now I'm taking on emotions that maybe aren't mine. You know, because that's when it starts to become consuming, and that's where I'm such an empath, and that's also part of why I end up down the rabbit hole, because I take on so many things that aren't mine. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think tomorrow is gonna be so good for the soul. I know I'm really looking forward to it, because I know I need it. For sure. But also, it's just, for me, again, thank you for the opportunity, because it's another way to connect with you know, others, with my audience in particular, on topics that have nothing really to do with what the next single is going to be, or how big the budget was for this music video, and who's your it's more about the human side of us, all of us,
connection,
you know. Yeah
100%. And you know what I love most about doing these Wordaful onlines is that we can take questions from the audience, which is really great.
I know, I heard. I'm so excited.
We're in there as a community, and again, it's just a time to feel a togetherness, and I think we all need that right now. So if you guys do want to join us tomorrow, it's going to be so great. Becky and I are going to chit chat. We're going to give you teachable takeaways. Like I said, bring your notebooks, bring your pens, anything you missed. There'll be a follow-up email where we'll have everything that we talked about that's really important and we feel essential to put in your life's tool belt. There's a link in my bio. It's on Becky's page. And Becky, again, just gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. Igualmente. I appreciate it.
I love you so much.
Stay safe, and I will see you tomorrow.
Perfect.
Amazing. Bye.
Bye.